educated.
All right, man, let's talk about Tanner Engstrand. Apparently, he could be headed to the Jets. He was perceived to be the next head coach or the next offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions, but apparently they went and hired John Morton from the Denver Broncos, who ironically used to be the offensive coordinator for the Jets, and they saying he got a raw deal, and he helped install this offense a little bit with Goff and Ben Johnson. He was here, I think, the first full year that Ben Johnson actually took over as the play caller in Detroit. So yeah, he was here the first full year. So he understands golf. He understands, this offense and everything. Uh so yeah, very, very interesting. And we all thought that Tanner Ingerstring was gonna be that guy. That's what we thought. We thought he was gonna be the guy to be the play caller. He stayed in here, could have went to Seattle, but he stayed in Detroit. So at the end of the day, I think that took a lot of people. I think that took a lot of people by surprise that when he left, well, that he didn't get the job and John Morton did. So I mean, obviously, if they said that Aaron Glenn is to sit down with Aaron Rodgers pretty soon and discuss if he wanted to continue, being with the Jets or whatever. So we'll see what happens when they come to the offense. But if he goes to New York and the Jets and become a rock star, and John Morton don't do some good things with this offense, which is going to be hard for John Morton to advance his offense statistically. You know what I'm saying? Especially if they don't add more weapons. But it may be more effective. If they win, nobody really care about how efficient the offense is. You know what I'm saying? But the New York Jets is close in on the next Ben Johnson's Detroit set for further blow. The New York Jets look to identify their next offensive coordinator at work under Aaron Glenn, where he'll likely have full control of the offense, with the head coach being the defensive play caller. The New York Jets are said to be closing in on Detroit Lions passing game coordinator Tanner Engstrand as their next offensive coordinator after missed out on the same role with his own team. Engstrand is set to reunite with Aaron Glenn, who has left Lions as their defensive coordinator, to take up his first role as head coach with the Jets. After the Lions lost their offensive play caller, Ben Johnson, to the Chicago Bears, it was expected that Engstrand would take his place, with many dubbing him as the next Ben Johnson. But instead, the Lions hired veteran coach John Morton to be their new OC. NFL insider Josina Anderson has now reported that Engstrand is the front runner for the role while being in talks with the Jets, while the Athletics' Zach Rosenblatt insinuated that he's one to watch for the gig. Now, Woodward Sports saying he ain't leaving. So I don't know if they correct or they just, giving their opinion on that. I think it's more of an opinion. Oh, we ain't losing him. He's staying. I mean, shit, if I ain't get the offensive coordinator position, they give it to John Morton, which he had been there too. So we can't act like he ain't been in the mix. He had been there too. So he just left and came back and got the job. So, you can't really be mad at it. But nonetheless, if I ain't get a gig I feel like I deserved, then, I'm out too. If I get an opportunity to go get that same gig somewhere else, I'm out too. Engstrand came close to joining the Seattle Seahawks as their offensive coordinator last year before staying in Detroit as their passing game coordinator under Johnson. After Johnson left for the Bears head coaching role, many believe it was a foregone conclusion that Engstrand would make the step up before Morton was hired. Engstrand leaving the Lions would make him the sixth high-profile coach to walk away from the organization this offseason. Johnson and Glenn left within days before the former took quarterbacks coach J.T. Baird and wide receiver coach Antoine Randall with him to the Bears. Meanwhile, the run game coordinator Tyrell Williams joined the Patriots, with their Engstrand potentially becoming the sixth coach to lead Dan Campbell's staff. As a defensive-minded head coach, Glenn will most likely give Engstrand full control of the offensive unit and be primary play caller. Glenn played as a cornerback in a career and has only coached defense, with Engstrand being a former quarterback and having 20 years of offensive coaching experience. So my thing is this. If he ain't going to really have much say so on the offense, do you want to hand that offense over to somebody who never done it before? That's the thing. You ain't never been a head coach before. He ain't never been an offensive coordinator. A lot of times, a lot of these coaches like to have former head coaches on their staff, as an assistant or a coordinator. Don't forget, Dan Campbell had former head coach Anthony Lynn on his staff as a play call, as the offensive play caller. Then he eventually got fired. They didn't have much to work with, but it was what it was. So that, you got to remember those type of things. So Um, so yeah, those are things to remember. So it'll be interesting to see, for the most part, how they play it and how it lays, and what Engstrand actually does going forward, and does he take this job, or do they tell him we're gonna just have John Morton here for a year or two, and then we're gonna hand the reins over to you. I'm not sure. What's that being said? But if you feel like you got passed up for an opportunity, and you got the opportunity somewhere else, you most likely gonna take that opportunity somewhere else, unless he feel like he ain't ready. So, so, but I don't know. Well, Aaron Glenn, I would probably think on somebody more seasoned, on that side, with him not having a huge offensive side. But you don't become a great defensive all pro or Pro Bowl running cornerback without knowing something on offense. So, and if you feel comfortable with Tanner Engstrand, hey, you got to understand there's going to be some bumps, especially when Aaron Rodgers back. There's going to be some bullshit in the game. There's going to be some bullshit in there for Tanner. He going to deal with some bullshit. He going to deal with some VS or Rodgers, do they feel like he ready to deal with that if Rodgers comes back? So, but he didn't get the Lions job, and that was a shocker to a lot of us. I thought they was hiring Johnny Morton, the old receiver that played for us. He used to like Johnny Morton. Out of USC? So, but we got to mess around and see exactly what happens. But, but when you win and you win like a place in Detroit, people gonna poach off your talent. That's a God given. So, pretty sure Dan was prepared for it. And you want to see your guys go on to do better things and get better opportunities. So it is what it is. And we'll see what it look like when he continue to select more coaches. And if he continue to select the right coaches, it's going to say a lot about his ability to identify talent. Everybody talk about Brad Holmes' identity or ability to identify talent. Gotta talk about Dan Campbell. If you continue to pick the right guys, but hey, hit the link tree. Find me on X, Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, Anchor. Want to donate? Cash App, Venmo is in there. Wrong by screen. CJ Good 313 for both. Appreciate the love and support. Check out Detroit Lions Talk playlist. Peace.